Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. This is Living in Jersey. Today I'm gonna be doing another one of my drive-by tours. You can see we're entering the town of Morris Township. That's what I'm gonna be giving a tour of today. So if you were moving from across the country, you wanted a realtor like myself to give you a tour of the town, point out all the pros, the cons, and what to expect, I'm gonna be giving you that tour right from my driver's seat. It's like I'm gonna be driving around town with you and pointing out everything that you would ever wanna know. So right now we're on like the northwest portion of Morris Township. I actually sold this house to my left last year for a client just like you, moved from out of state, and virtual tours, the whole shebang. We helped them get into that property there. But Morris Township is that donut that surrounds Morristown. Big difference. Right now we're in the Butterworth section of Morris Township. And you've got public utilities here. You're about 10-minute drive to downtown Morristown, right next to Randolph, which is where I currently live. Lots of hills here. You can see there's a paved kind of sidewalk that runs throughout this neighborhood. Definitely desirable section of town here. You get more space, more privacy, bigger house than you do like in downtown Morristown. So I'm just gonna be doing a little drive around town here, around the neighborhood, so you can get a feel for it. But this is very hilly. Again, like not a totally walkable neighborhood. Could you? Yeah, there's sidewalks throughout. It's kind of, designed to be, there's not a lot of traffic, but there's hills throughout. So to find a flat lot, which my client did have a flat lot, that was one of the reasons why he wanted to go for that particular property. I'm gonna hang a left here. But flat lots are hard to come by around here. These homes are a little bit older than, there's a little playground right there in the neighborhood. A little bit older than the next neighborhood that we're gonna go to, which is the Summit. These are kind of more like 1970s, colonials, that kind of style. And then let's go down this road. You can feel like some are on top of a hill, some are at the bottom of the hill. Lots of trees around too. So I think I've done videos here in the fall where people are doing a lot of leaf cleanups and stuff. So with privacy comes leaves usually. But going back to my client who bought that house that we had passed originally, that house was on the market for a little over a week with no offers on it. He ended up getting it for ask price. Didn't have a ton of updates in it. But he was willing to put the work in, and after redoing the kitchen, adding a new roof on there, which I've never seen a house with 50 holes in the roof. It was an old cedar shake roof. Literally, you could see daylight in like 50 holes on the roof. So you got a big credit for that. And yeah, overall, avoided the mansion tax, which in New Jersey is 1% for any home sold $1 million or above. So he was able to stay under that threshold, do all the things that he wanted to do to the house, love the location, flat yard, has a pool. So again, that's where the opportunity lies in this particular market that we're in right now. All right, now we're making our way towards Lake Road. And then this kind of Lake Road and Ketch divide these two neighborhoods, which is Butterworth and the Summit, which is actually where my in-laws live. So we're in the Summit quite often. And just to give you some context of time of year, this is early April. Leaves are just starting to bud on the trees here. Obviously got an overcast day. Time of day is like 3 p.m. So I'm really curious how this is gonna work out in terms of, traffic and buses and all those things. So we'll see. You'll be along the tour with me. Most likely towards the end of the tour, we will be going towards a more high traffic area, so we can always fast forward through that part if we're waiting at a light or stuck in any kind of traffic. The home's in Butterworth, which is still to my left. We just went through, a little section of it. It all pretty much looks the same. Those are more affordable than the next neighborhood that we're going to. Just because they're a little bit bigger, a little bit newer in the next neighborhood. But from this location, we're also really close to the Central Park of Morris County. And actually from my in-laws' backyard, you can kind of sometimes hear the different soccer games, lacrosse games going on across Hanover Ave, which is not far. Someone's getting their pool filled that time of year. Now entering the summit. There's some cul-de-sacs, you know, scattered throughout. Very quiet neighborhood, not really like a drive-through neighborhood at all. Also have some hills, but you know, Morris Township in general is usually flat. Lots are hard to come by. My in-laws happen to have a relatively flat yard though. And this neighborhood kind of borders Frelinghuysen Middle School. And when my wife was growing up, they used to walk through the woods to get to school, to and from school. There's like a little path that all the neighbors have created over the years that go through the woods. All underground utilities here. And for the vast majority of Morris Township, you're looking at public utilities and public sewer. I actually have a friend that lives closer to Jockey Hollow, and she actually does have a septic, but it's kind of off the beaten path. Super cool location. We are going to be going that way later in this tour here. There is an optional HOA here. They host events. I only know because my mother-in-law is on the board there. But they do, you know, host Santa Claus in the winter, where you can, you know, get a photo with Santa Claus. There's trunk or treats. Book clubs, movie nights, they do all sorts of stuff. All right, in my Morristown video, in case you watched that one first, I alluded to the fact that Morristown has a lot of seeing eye dogs being trained within the community. Like, so if you're ever walking around in Morristown, odds are you're gonna see a seeing eye dog at some point in the day. So we're actually making our way towards the actual facility where the dogs are held and trained, you know, when they're not, you know, on duty in Morristown. A few townhome complexes scattered throughout here. We're gonna pass another one after we make a left here. One of these days I got this blinker fixed. I'm actually due for an oil change soon, so I'll have them knock them out at the same time. And as we cross Sussex Turnpike over here, this is that townhome community I was telling you about. Another one, bigger one. As we cross Sussex Turnpike, this is where it kind of gives me like a Mendham Township type vibe, because it borders Mendham Township. So we're making our way towards the Seeing Eye facility, and then eventually to a very prestigious private school, which is Delbarton. This is an all-boys school. That's where we'll be heading after the Seeing Eye facility. And oddly enough, that the client that I helped move to Morristown, his son was going to Delbarton. All right, so if I were to go right at this stoplight or at this stop sign, which I'm not going to do, that would turn into Mendham Township. So we're gonna go left and make our way over towards the Seeing Eye. And this little crosswalk right here, where you see the signs coming up, that's an extension of Patriots Path, which I've mentioned in many of my other videos, but it connects multiple towns. Obviously in this area, not as residential. Houses are kind of spread apart after going into actual neighborhoods, right? More Patriots Path entrances. So on the left, that's where the Seeing Eye facility is. So you can see how large it is. And from here, you're really like 5 minutes away from downtown Morristown. All right, now if we were to go left of the stop sign, like I said, you're 5 minutes or less from downtown Morristown. We are gonna be going right towards Delbarton School and Lewis Morris Park, which has a lot of hiking options, and it's actually well known for mountain bike trails. There's also a pond you could fish in, some camping areas, picnic areas. Maybe not camping, but I meant to say picnic. All right, so we're gonna be turning into this lower entrance of Delbarton. School's getting let out. Fun fact, I hit a home run here when I was in 8th grade. I almost hit my grandparents who parked over here on the right. It's a short fence. People don't forget. Making our way up. And this is one of like the most beautiful campuses around. If the baseball facility is open, I'll do a little spin through there because that's super nice. Got tennis practice going on. Yeah, the Delbarton baseball is one of the better programs in the state. The Yankee shortstop is a graduate from the school. My kids haven't gotten to age yet of flag football, but I know they host like a flag football league up here in the fall. On the fields over here to my left. So we're getting towards like the backside entrance of the Morristown entrance of Jockey Hollow Park, which again, I talked about in a lot of videos. Great hiking trails, lots of history there. One of my favorite spots for a good dog walk. If you're trying, don't go on the weekends though, it's a little more crowded on the weekends, but if you can make it there during the week, you could definitely have the whole trail to yourself. Yeah, there's the baseball facility. All right, so literally Jockey Hollow entrance is right over here to my right. You can see the gate. Now we're back in, so we're at like the border of Menham Township as well. So entering the township of Morris. This is Western Ave. So take this all the way into the center of town to get to the center of Morristown. But we're gonna be getting towards some more residential areas. So we're gonna do a Burnham Park tour, Hillcrest tour, and then Skyline tour after this. And there is a scenic overlook on one of the trails in Jockey Hollow where you can see the city skyline, which is kind of cool. Like you're in the middle of the woods, it's this remote area, but you can also see New York City skyline, which is a big appeal to living in this area, is proximity to New York City, access to train lines, which is why it's always popular. This is that area where you probably won't have public sewer if you happen to find, a random house here. Villa Walsh Academy is right here. Very famous hill for sledding, over here to my left. Got a National Guard armory over here. That's kind of like the back end of that Skyline neighborhood, Skyline Drive, which does have some skyline views in certain places. We're gonna head up Miller's Farm here to get into the Hillcrest neighborhood. So a little bit smaller homes than we've previously seen, but you're also closer to Morristown. Hillcrest School is over there to the right. We're gonna make a left though, give you a little bit more Burnham, but they all relatively look the same. And this is close to where I kind of started my tour in the Morristown video. And technically the Hillcrest neighborhood, I did do a little preview there in Morristown, but it's technically Morris Township. This is kind of where the lines are blurred. Again, hilly terrain. I don't think we've seen any neighborhoods that have been pretty flat yet. Give me a little salute, friendly guy. All right, I like it. But when I think Burnham Park, this is like what I think of, the type of house. Nothing cookie cutter about it. Interesting homes. Lots always not quite that desirable, but location is absolutely money. Because you're still walkable, but you did have this big hill, which I did talk about in my Morristown video. So at the top of this hill here, that's kind of like the dividing section between Burnham Park and the Hillcrest, which might look familiar if you watched my Morristown video. Because Burnham Park Pond is in Morristown, but technically Burnham Park is in the township. Gonna hit up Molly Stark here. This is what I call the Skyline Drive neighborhood. Just because at the very top of this hill, it's Skyline Drive. The Western Navis like kind of runs through the valley. You get these like two mountains, Western Navis in the valley. And my wife and I, before we moved to Randolph, were actually strongly considering buying a home on this street. I forget the exact home, but it's one of these homes on the left. And the main reason why we didn't buy it was because of the property. Again, location couldn't ask for a better location, but we just envisioned, having a dog and having a place for the kids to play. And like the backyard literally wasn't a backyard. It was like just a patio, essentially a nice patio, but it wasn't conducive to the type of, I guess, lifestyle that we were looking for. So we passed on it. But from an investment standpoint, sometimes I kick myself about it because, that could have been a great rental, would have had a great interest rate to hold on to it. So all right, we're gonna go left. Make our way up to Skyline. We're just gonna be going over the mountain here. And it's like a little windy kind of switchback type road to get us down the hill here. But like these homes could potentially have some New York City skyline views here on my right. So this literally is Skyline Drive. Don't tell her it's not walkable. Yeah, like if we were driving through downtown Morristown right now, we obviously would have a significant amount of traffic, but we haven't really hit that quite yet. All right, so we're at the bottom of Skyline Drive now. And this is Route 202. If I go left, it takes you right down into downtown Morristown in just a couple minutes. We're gonna go right towards a road I'm very fond of. Another kind of baseball reference is Harter Road. To my left, which we'll get to in a bit, is Springbrook Country Club, and there's a neighborhood back there too, which is probably my favorite neighborhood in Morris Township. Also happens to be probably the most expensive neighborhood, but it's a cool spot. But it's still Morris Township that we're in right now. If I keep going on this road, it brings me into like Harding area, which is an interesting kind of town, mostly because of the taxes. They're really low there. All right, so I'll do a loop through a couple neighborhoods in this Harter Road section. There is a big park with a couple of ball fields, and I played a lot of baseball games there growing up, and it's right next to 287. And there's the baseball field is, and there's these huge nets so that no balls kind of go into the highway. But I was someone who had a little case of the yips, if you know what I mean. So throwing was always a mental challenge for me. At least in high school, I became a head case for some reason. And I always had my best games at Harter Road because I got to have my first, warm-up catch with my teammate with his back to this giant net. So I had like zero fear of the ball getting thrown, askew or awry. So like I just threw it with not a worry in the world. And I always had my best games because I think mentally I started off in this like not worried about making a mistake kind of frame of mind. So I'm big into the mental stuff and kind of what how you talk to yourself. Yeah, friendly wave. Didn't even pay that guy to do that. All right, so you get the gist here for this neighborhood. Then we're gonna go a little bit further down and we'll get a different neighborhood with a little different feel than this one. We're really close to 287 right here. There's like an off ramp on Harter Road for 287. So, I mean, during the middle of the day, you probably wouldn't have had to wait as long for those cars. So this is just like the other side of Harter in a different neighborhood to look at. We actually have a friend who lives in this neighborhood, and he lives on the street we're about to turn right onto, Frederick. And he always says it's the greatest, he lives on the greatest street in America. He says it to me every time I see him. So, again, someone's opinion, but that's what he says to me. Again, a little different feel than the last two neighborhoods we just went through. But I think what I love a lot about Randolph is like it's so not cookie cutter. All the houses are so kind of unique and different, and especially as people have built up upon them as years have gone on. Then we're gonna make our way into that Springbrook neighborhood. All right, let's see. Been recording for almost 40 minutes. We've started off in Butterworth, went to Harter, drove through Delbarton, hit Burnham Park, Hillcrest, Molly Stark, and Skyline Drive. Just finished up the Harter Road tour. Now we're heading to Springbrook. And that's the entrance to that Harter Road kind of field here. That's not the field, that's the softball field, but way in the back there's a baseball field with huge nets. I mean, Morris Township is a big area, and the fact that it has, you know, the most city-like thing that Morris County has to offer is in the middle of it. It's going to take a little bit to get the whole way around. All right, so now we're in the Springbrook neighborhood. And you'll see the golf course. I have a few friends that are members here, which is nice because I don't have to pay for a membership, but I still get to reap the benefits of it. They have a great 4th of July fireworks festival. The golf is obviously pretty good. There's a nice pool, which we brought our kids to a few times. You can see the Hyatt in the distance here in Morristown because we're close. I think I missed the road here, so I'm gonna do a little U-turn. I was too busy looking at the Hyatt. Definitely a mixed bag of like homes that have been updated and redone versus ones that have been the same for probably the last, 60 years. All right, so now we're making our way towards James Street, which again, if you watched the Morristown video, we did a tour of Ligerwood Park. I call it Ligerwood. If it's Ligerwood, I don't care. That's why I say Ligerwood. And that's kind of what we're getting close to right now. We'll do a little loop through a neighborhood that wasn't quite on the tour of that Morristown tour, but will have actually some flat land, similar to the Ligerwood neighborhood in Morristown. Little retention pond next to that house, which again, like if I'm doing a virtual tour, you are sure that I will be showing you that retention pond, if not showing it to you on Google Maps before I even look at the place. Just a couple guys, wonder what they're thinking, what they're talking about. Friendly wave again. That's like the third of the day. Talking about their lawns maybe, how green they are, what they're gonna do. Typical neighbor conversations. So right now we're in like the southernmost portion of Morris Township. working our way east. My kid's pediatrician's right down the road from here. A lot of medical facilities in the area because of the hospital, so that's convenient. Crossing over Route 287. I'm gonna turn left here on Southgate. Townhome community here. This is new too, this little bike lane that they have. All right, we're hanging it right here. There's some more healthcare, Atlantic Health facilities a little further down, like a corporate complex. Let's head down Blackberry. No sidewalks here. Could you walk to the downtown Morristown? You could. Be a bit of a hike, but you could do it. You could see over time, I don't know if you could see it in the camera view here, but these houses on the left, what they see behind them is a corporate complex, which is Atlantic Health's little headquarters there, which is a major health system in the area. And see how long it takes me to get stuck behind a school bus. All right, we'll call that one Southgate. Now we're gonna pass that Atlantic Health facility on the left, and then there's a park, which the pronunciation is always up for debate. I call it Loantaka. A lot of people call it Loantaka. I'll let you be the judge for yourself, but more hiking trails, ball fields. I believe there's a little playground there too. Yep, I'm looking at it right now. Looks like they actually made a new playground. Looks different than the last one I remember. Yeah, Loantaka. I can kind of see it now that I actually read it. Horse stable here. Atlantic Health building over here on the left. All right, if I keep going back or keep going straight here, it's gonna bring me to South Street or Madison Ave, close to the hospital. But we're staying in Morris Township, so we're gonna make a right. Firehouse, ball fields, police station over here, municipal building. There's also Ginty pools right there. So there's two pools, two town pools in Morristown. One's Ginty, one's Streeter. We'll finish up this video at Streeter. And my wife and I actually bring our kids to that pool for the summer, even though we're not Morris Township residents. They make us pay for it, that's for sure, but it's a nice pool. It's not far from Randolph, which is why we do it. This one's like, couldn't be further away from Randolph, so we don't go to that one as often. But your membership gets you access to both. So this is the Convent Station neighborhood on my left, which we're gonna get into, but we're gonna go through a townhome community to get there, just to show you something else as well. Pippin's Way. Good bike lanes around here, I like it. When I lived in Morris Township and Morristown, I used to be on those bike lanes frequently. With 2 kids and a busy job later, I don't really get to do that all that much. If you think you're getting a deal in here because it's a townhome, think again. These are actually pretty expensive. Do they wave? Question mark. Do they wave? Smile, no wave. I don't know about you, but Pippin's Way makes me think of a popular Jay-Z song. You know what I'm thinking? All right, we're almost out of here into the Convent Station neighborhood. But very well maintained townhome community. and it comes with a pretty hefty price. I'm not gonna talk prices because then it'll make my video irrelevant at some point in time. So keep it neutral. Reach out to me, call, text, or email me at any time to figure out what these prices are on these homes today. And the beautiful thing about Convent Station is definitely its proximity. So you're like right in between Morristown and Madison. There's a Convent Station train stop, which has plenty of parking. So you don't have to go into Morristown to that station. You don't necessarily go into Madison. You got your train right here. You got kind of the best of all worlds. Some very stately looking homes. All right, still Convent Station. So now we're exiting Convent Station. Actually, I'm volunteering on a board for the National Football Foundation's Morris County chapter. We host an annual Scholar Athlete Banquet, which for the last 30 years was hosted right in Convent Station at the Madison Hotel. We just switched venues this year to Florham Park, the Park Ave Club. Just to give you some insights as to kind of some stuff that's cool and interesting to me. So this is Madison Ave. Behind me would take you to Madison. Going straight brings us towards the hospital in Morristown. We're gonna make a right on Normandy Parkway at the Friendlies, which you might have seen in my Morristown video. So we're on the eastern part of Morris Township. We're making our way towards the very eastern part. Yeah, that rush hour traffic starting to back up now. 3:42 p.m. in Morris Township. We've done all right, but towards the end of this, I know once I get on Hanover Ave, it's going to be a little bit of a dicey situation with traffic. It's always bad there. I'm going there at just the wrong time, so we'll fast forward for you guys. Neighborhood similar to the Convent Station neighborhood to my right there. So just for the sake of time, I'm going to kind of go past it, but we're going to cross. We're going to go on to Columbia Turnpike, which takes you into Florham Park. Get to Route 24. Again, good commuting options around here. Normandy Park School. My wife went to that elementary school. A lot of clients I have that call in from YouTube are taking jobs at places like Novartis, which is in East Hanover, which is, they'll be taking this road pretty frequently to get to work if that's the case. A lot of pharmaceuticals around here. My mother-in-law worked for Bayer for like 40 years. And for us football fans that are watching this, the New York Jets training facility is coming up here. So on the next stoplight, which we're going to be turning left at, if we were to go right, that brings us to the Park Ave Club, which I talked about, which is our new venue for the Football Foundation. And the Jets facility is right there as well. Which, fun fact, I did a training camp internship at a college with the Jets, doing equipment, cleaned a lot of clothes. Got really good at laundry. And now I have really high expectations for my own laundry, which is a benefit to my wife and my family. But yeah, that was the year that Tim Tebow was on the Jets, and I actually got to play catch with a Heisman Trophy winner, Tim Tebow. It's pretty cool. Then I asked him for his autograph on my last day, and the only time I could ask him was after he got out of the shower, so that was interesting and awkward, but I was very determined to get his autograph. So I did it. No shame. If I kept going straight, brings us to Florham Park. And then if you can see that bridge in the distance, or that crossover, that's Route 24. Obviously can't see much with this big school bus in our way, but we're gonna be making a left into a neighborhood shortly. We'll go left here. Now this is in bordering like Hanover Township. So it's like Whippany, East Hanover is what we're close to right now. Kind of gives me a Butterworth type feel. Am I right? You guys agree? You can see there's like a little field, little playground or a little park here. Some ball fields in this neighborhood, which as a kid I would have loved. Which just beyond that like white picket fence back there, which I'll do a drive-by past it. So you can get a little look for the park. Freeland Green Park, Township of Morris. There's that pool. We have another friend who grew up in this neighborhood. And now we're really close to Whippany, which is a part of Hanover Township. And the neighborhood we're about to go into, my wife actually babysat 2 young boys who lived in this neighborhood. So I spent a lot of time there. As when we first started dating. We would hang out with the kids. I remember playing, they have like these stuffed snowballs. We'd have snowball fights down there. They ended up moving to Texas. They had the best dog ever. Her name was Dixie, rest in peace. White lab, most obedient dog I've ever seen in my entire life. Like literally peed on command. Was a hunting dog, but to this day, I'm doing it, making a break for it. Oh. I did it for you guys. It was a calculated risk I took. All right, gonna go left here. This is that neighborhood I was telling you about with the amazing dog. And one time I was walking the dog by myself. The family had gone away on vacation. We were watching the dog at our apartment in Morristown. And I took the dog myself, and it was like one of those dogs that you walk off leash because she just like never left your side. But except for one time, she could like sense water like no one's business. And she knew there was like some sort of pond or body of water somewhere like around where we were walking. And she just went into this muddy pile of muck. And this white lab turned into a brown lab. If I can find a picture, I'll put it in this video. But that's my memories from this neighborhood here. Okay, so now we're getting towards the end of this tour here. We probably still might have another 10-15 minutes to get there. I'm gonna try to fast forward through as much of it as I possibly can for you. But this is where we might be hitting some traffic, especially during the time of day. But hey, maybe it's valuable for you to see what it looks like at 4 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon in Morris Township. Man, like Whippany is like to the right. Directly right of me is Whippany. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let me not go through a red light again. Oh, they're making me push it. Okay. Again, calculated risk for you. So Hanover Ave has a lot of shopping, which is where we're gonna go on. This overpass right here is, I'm trying to think right now, I think it's Route 24. And we're gonna go right. That fenced in area directly in front of me is Morristown Beard, which is another private school. Not gonna do a drive-through tour of that one because it doesn't really benefit us whatsoever, but pop some drone shots up for you. My wife went to high school there. Played baseball with a lot of guys from there. We're making our way onward. We're gonna finish up in the Fairchild neighborhood. We're gonna pass a lot of that shopping along the way here. Frelinghuysen Arboretum. Beautiful flowers in the springtime and summer months. I helped my friend propose to his now wife there. I hid in the bushes with some cameras set up, balloons. Crossing over Route 287 right now. Water treatment facility, really giving you a blow-by-blow. My wife had a flat tire right here the other day that she took my truck in and got a flat tire, so that meant that I had to come deal with it and she took the other car. That's what I do, the fullback. A couple of car dealers. If I went left here on Ridgedale, you got a Ford dealer. I believe there's Toyota, possibly BMW. I kind of forget the BMW part. You got AutoZone, Old Navy, Quick Check, good gas stop right there, TJ Maxx, Home Goods, Agway we go to often, which is kind of like a landscape place. You know, it's our go-to place to get propane for the grill. Kind of see what the signs are there. I've been to that Maggiano's Pizza once. Got another babysitting trip with my now wife. And a lot of this is brand new. Like this ShopRite has probably been put in within the last 10 years, so it's not that new, but this mall over here on the left is only a couple years old. And we're definitely gonna hit some traffic. There's really no way to kind of avoid it, to be honest. Jersey driving, gotta make it happen sometimes. But driving throughout this whole entire filming session, we really haven't hit any traffic until right now. You got Lowe's right here, you got Men in Sports Arena, a couple of those new, the new shopping center I mentioned. Men in Sports Arena it's a nice rink, so lots of hockey games going on there. There's a new condo complex back there as well. All right, we're back in action. Sat through probably 10 minutes of traffic. But this is definitely the most congested part of Morris Township from my experience. So like I said, we're gonna finish up in the Fairchild neighborhood, which is right around the corner from here once I make a left, which thankfully I will be getting right now. And then we'll start wrapping up this tour here. Now, I would probably say that the most affordable housing in Morris Plains is right behind me. So Morris Plains train station is right there as well. But I would say from affordability standpoint, this Fairchild neighborhood is probably going to be your most affordable option for single family homes in Morris Township. Flat too, you can see it's flat. Decent amount of turnover here. Lots of the homes need work, just updating and stuff. So if you're into putting a little elbow grease into something and adding some value, there's some opportunity in this neighborhood. All right, we're gonna just finish it out and make our way over to Streeter Pool, which will end our tour for the day, but I just want to kind of do a full circle essentially in that donut of Morris Township. So now again, like we're close to that Butterworth, the Summit neighborhood where we started. All things considering, for the time of day that we did this, traffic wasn't too bad. We got fortunate enough not to get stuck behind any school buses. Overall, I'd say it was a win. 2 minutes away from the Streeter Pool, so feel free to tag along, but if not, just to remind you, I am a realtor in the state of New Jersey. I make these videos to add as much value as I possibly can to people. That's just how I operate. In general. So feel free to call, text, or email me at any time. I would love to be your real estate choice to make a move to the Garden State. And make sure you subscribe to this channel if you want more video tours like the one that I just gave you. If you have suggestions of places you want me to go next, shoot me an email and we'll go from there. Another Patriots Path entrance there. Streeter Pool's up here right now. You got some turf fields across the street, so the Morristown Wildcats, they practice and play their games there. They got tennis courts here. I always see people practicing lacrosse, and here's Streeter Pool. They have a ice cream truck that comes like every hour on the hour, it seems like, in the summertime, but we spend the most time here in the summer. That's where we spend it, is right here at Streeter Pool. So again, thanks for tagging along and being in my passenger seat, and I hope to see you next week.